I canceled a trip to New York City and instead, I went to the mall. Hey, I'm Dr. Thor, and today I want to talk about an experience I recently had where I had something big planned and then things changed. So I just left a job that I've been in for a long time and I wanted to do something to celebrate the occasion, to sort of mark the end of one thing and the beginning of another. I'd been thinking about this for a while and thinking that I wanted to do something that felt special, like this one thing had ended and before I started something else, I wanted a big experience. And for the longest time I'd thought, you know what, I want to go to New York City in December, at Christmas time. I've been to New York before, even at Christmas, so it wasn't like this was some amazing bucket list trip. Still, it is pretty special to be there at Christmas time, and I was looking forward to this. In fact, this was going to be a unique trip because I was going by myself. My wife had other plans, and so I was going to be able to get to do anything that I wanted. If I wanted to go into a museum and spend all day there, I could do that. This is a year where I went to Paris with my family, and that was great. But it was the kind of experience where everyone is sort of saying, yes, I'll go to this place. There's a lot of compromising. So this was going to be a trip where it was just for me, super amazing, super special. I could choose to do anything that I wanted. I was going to go there and be able to hang out with my daughter who lives there. I would do stuff during the day. Maybe we'd get together at night, have dinner. It was just something I really thought was going to be a special experience. Actually, it wasn't going to be all that expensive either. I was going to use airline miles to get the ticket. I'd found a kind of a hostel for adults, I think, where the rooms are only gonna be like $130 a night. So all in, the trip was probably gonna be less than $1,000 for about 1 week there, which, you know, hit the mark for me. That felt like that was right. So there were a lot of reasons why this felt like this was gonna be a great experience. I've been thinking about it for months once I made the decision that I was gonna be leaving at the end of November, leaving my position. So I had that hotel booked. That was reserved. I hadn't gotten the ticket yet. And about 2 months out, I'm thinking, okay, for sure I'm gonna do this. A month out, I'm thinking I'm gonna do this. And then I started to have some hesitation about it. I thought, even though it wasn't that expensive, I thought, you know, I think I'd rather invest that money in the new year and other things. As much as I was excited about it, felt a little bit frivolous to just go there and do this. And then I started to think, well, maybe there's a better time in the year to go. In fact, my daughter was like, you should come in the spring. It's way better. Having been in New York in wintertime and how cold it can be. In fact, this year we were there in January and it was freezing. I remember walking around and my feet were just like, felt like they were numb ice. But then about 3 weeks before the trip, I decided not to go. I canceled the hotel reservation that I had and I was kind of bummed. I was looking forward to this, but I thought, you know what, this makes sense for what I want to do. And I made the decision, but I kind of completely didn't make the decision because I kept leaving open the possibility that because I could just use airline miles that maybe I could book it. In fact, around Thanksgiving, I was with some friends and a friend heard the idea and he's like, dude, you should totally go to New York. That sounds like an amazing trip. So even like 5 days away, I was rethinking about it and thinking maybe I should go, but I didn't. And so the week of the trip, I was going to fly out on a Thursday. The week of the trip, I decided, you know what? If I'm not doing that, I need to do something else that feels special. I live in Southern California, so I started to think about all the things that I could do. I thought about maybe taking the train to downtown LA and sort of being there and doing things there. I thought about going to Santa Monica, going to the beach. I thought, you know, I could go to the Century City Mall, and I'd been there a year or so ago at Christmas, and that was pretty cool. So I started to think about all these other things that I could do because I still wanted to have this special feeling of doing something that was unique and something amazing. So the Friday rolls around and in my calendar I'd put that I was gonna do something amazing this day. And for whatever reason, all the things that I thought about, like when I thought about going downtown, I'm like, it's too far. When I thought about going to Century City, I'm like, the traffic will be crazy. I'd actually thought too about going to the Grove, and I thought, well, that'll be kind of a cool energy. When it came down to it, I couldn't pull the trigger on any of those. And yet, I still wanted to do something special that was somewhat close to home. So I decided to go to the mall. I went to the Topanga Mall in Woodland Hills, which is kind of in the Calabasas area near there. So very sort of high-end shopping center. And I thought, well, I haven't been there in a long time. That'll be kind of fun. And I got there and it'd been, gosh, probably a couple of years since I'd been there, and they had completely redone it. So now there's this section that has all of these high-end amazing stores. In fact, you can tell that you're about to enter the high-end amazing store part because there's a valet place right out front that has like all these super bougie Calabasas kind of cars. And so you're like, okay, this is not your average mall. So I go in there and I walk around, and they got the huge Christmas tree up, which was beautiful. It was a late afternoon. It was just great vibe. I walked around, I got a coffee and sat down there and did some journaling, which is kind of what I wanted to do anyway. When I was thinking about going to New York, part of the reason for going there was to sort of do planning for 2026 and sort of just get away from distractions and be somewhere that felt unique and new and inspiring. So how was it? Well, what I realized in the experience was it wasn't that going to New York was the thing, it was going somewhere new. What was interesting for me was I hadn't seen this place in a long time, so it felt new and fresh to me, and I was sort of, my mind was stimulated by seeing this new environment that I hadn't been in a while, and I realized that's kind of what I was looking for in thinking I was going to go to New York. Was I wanted that newness and that freshness. It turns out that our brains actually love novelty. There's real science behind this. It turns out that our brains light up when there's something new. Even if it's not, New York, if it's something smaller, we still light up in a way and things become more memorable. It also boosts your mood and makes you feel more alive. So skipping New York and not going there for that experience, it kind of didn't end up feeling like settling. I felt like I was still having what I was looking for in that original experience. So the takeaway for me, it wasn't New York that I was looking for, it was the newness of something. And the research backs that up. Even something small, like going to a place you haven't been before, that can create and stimulate excitement and novelty in your mind and open you up to creativity, which is what I was looking for. So at the end of the day, it wasn't about going to New York, it was about getting out of my routine. I very much like that, where if I'm not just in my office all the time, I like to go out to someplace new that causes me to think about things in a new way, where new ideas come to me because I'm not in the same old setting. So if you're at that place in your life where you're looking to be inspired and you want something exciting in your life, it doesn't have to be a big trip. It doesn't have to be something that takes a lot of time. I was at the mall for a couple of hours and I came away feeling inspired, and the ideas that I wrote down that day felt new and interesting to me. So if you're in that place where you are looking to be inspired, it may just be a change of scenery to some place that you've not been before, some place that is exciting and new. And as I think about the year ahead for me, that's really what I'm looking for, something that's exciting, something that stimulates me. And so I'm going to be planning a lot more of these kind of trips where I go to someplace new and do something that's interesting, even if it's not a huge thing like New York. Maybe it's just the mall. I produce content on self-development at Midlife. So if that sounds interesting to you and you want to see more from me, please subscribe. I'll see you on the next video, and thanks for watching.